Alright guys, in this video we're going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid, a series that I'm obviously very passionate about. I know many of you are passionate about it as well. And we're talking about a new rumor that comes from a source that I honestly have no idea how credible they actually are. But this source is talking specifically about Metal Gear Solid 6. And in this video, I don't want to focus too much on this rumor itself because honestly, I think it's anybody's guess as to whether or not there's any truth to what this individual's saying. But thinking about Metal Gear Solid 6, thinking about the whole Blue Box Game Studios seemingly teasing something potentially Metal Gear related, and all of the rumors that have been surrounding Bluepoint Games and Sony's involvement with a Metal Gear remake of some sort, it really got me thinking. And I want to talk about something that I think would be pretty amazing and pretty insane if it were to happen. So if you would be so kind as to entertain somebody who just wants to have an excuse here to talk more about Metal Gear and the Metal Gear Solid franchise, we're going to look over this rumor and talk about what this individual is saying. So if we go over here to DualShockers, they're reporting on this rumor, and they're claiming that a Russian insider believes Abandoned is a tease for Metal Gear Solid 6. And so the individual we're talking about, his name is Anton Logvinov, and apparently he does have a bit of credibility. Anton Logvinov, a Russian insider who correctly predicted the launch of Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone on PC before they were officially announced, has recently shared his opinion about Abandon on Twitter. And so if you check his tweet, which is in Russian, so we do have to translate it, he says, Abandon looks like MGS6. Well, that is, Konami is working on it. I have known this for a long time. And apparently someone decided to imitate Kojima's marketing. So Grandpa will be canceled, but a reunion is better, of course. And so he also follows that up by saying, well, or the announcement of a remake. So they're very different things here. And again, assuming that what this individual is saying has any truth to it, which we don't know. Again, they do have some type of track record here, but honestly, correctly predicting a few of Sony's titles going to PC, that's not enough for me to believe 100% that this is accurate and what this individual is saying is the total truth, right? But it's fascinating because he's saying on one hand, oh, it's going to be Metal Gear Solid 6, and then he kind of just throws in there, or it could be a remake. But he seems confident that something Metal Gear related is happening. I am fairly confident that something Metal Gear related is happening as well. If you think back to the Death Stranding Director's Cut teaser trailer, it was obviously an homage to Metal Gear Solid. And unfortunately, a lot of people took that as Hideo Kojima letting us know that he's officially done with the Metal Gear Solid series that he is so famous for and that he obviously created. And while I can completely understand why when watching this trailer you would think that, and to an extent I actually do think there is some truth to that, I think he's also teasing the return of Metal Gear Solid, but I don't know that that return is going to come in the form of a Hideo Kojima directed Metal Gear Solid game. And I know that may sound crazy to some people, but this is the part where I go into heavy speculative territory, but I really just want to talk about it because of how awesome I honestly think it would be. So we've been hearing for some time now that Bluepoint Games is apparently working on a Metal Gear remake, a Metal Gear Solid remake of some sort. And a lot of people were pointing to that remake being of Metal Gear Solid 1, which sounds totally plausible. And when you look at Bluepoint Games, they have worked with Konami in the past, and they specifically remastered MGS2, 3, and I believe Peace Walker. So it would make sense for them to work with Konami once again. There's also been some heavy rumors that Sony has acquired Bluepoint Games. As we all know, Sony may have accidentally let the cat out of the bag too soon, so we're going to still have to wait to see if there's any truth to that. But I got to thinking, we have this insider, supposed insider, claiming it's going to be Metal Gear Solid 6. Now, considering the success of the Metal Gear Solid series, specifically the mainline Metal Gear Solid titles, MGS 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, they're all incredibly successful, and they're some of the greatest games, if not the greatest games ever made, depending on who you ask. Wouldn't it make sense for Konami to want to do Metal Gear Solid 6? And so the question arises, well, how do you do a Metal Gear Solid 6 without Kojima? In fact, people love Kojima's work so much, and he's so intertwined with the Metal Gear Solid series that he created, that the idea of a Metal Gear Solid 6 without him sounds preposterous, right? And I actually totally agree. But I think there is one angle specifically where we could get Metal Gear Solid 6, and Kojima may not necessarily be heavily involved or directing it, but I think it could be a scenario where fans would actually be okay with it. I'm talking about the scenario in which Blue Point Games is developing Metal Gear Solid 6, but it's still technically under the umbrella of what would be considered a remake. I'm talking, of course, about the original Metal Gear that launched for MSX back in 1987. Now, I could see a scenario in which Blue Point comes out, announces their next game as Metal Gear Solid 6, and people start to freak out because they're like, holy crap, Blue Point is making Metal Gear Solid 6, what? But then they make it clear that this is a remake of the original 1987 MSX Metal Gear, a Metal Gear game that I think most people haven't played, and I would argue that a lot of people aren't even aware of its existence. And the reason why I think it could very easily be called, and justifiably be called, Metal Gear Solid 6 is because it would take place after Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. If you look at the timeline of the Metal Gear series, you'll know that next in line after MGS 5 would be the original Metal Gear, the original 1987 Metal Gear. So the idea that they could completely remake that game, which in and of itself would be insane. I mean, you look back at this game and it's hard to even visualize or imagine what a 2021, or I guess it would release probably sometime in like 2023, but just a modern day Metal Gear, not Metal Gear Solid, just a modern day Metal Gear, Solid Snake's first mission, right? It would be crazy. And I think what would make it such a unique project is it could still technically be considered a remake. And we all know that Blue Point Games is a very, very talented studio. They have some very talented developers. So the idea that they would be given the creative freedom, potentially Kojima's blessing, right? Kojima's blessing to remake the first Metal Gear, I think that that would be crazy. I think that that would be insane. I think that would be awesome. And I think Kojima would be okay with that. I really do. I think Kojima is truly done with Metal Gear Solid, at least directly. I don't think he's going to be directing any Metal Gear Solid titles in the future or writing them. But what I could see happening is a scenario where Sony comes out and they announce that, hey, we've acquired Blue Point Games. And on top of that, they announced their next project. Their next project is an extremely ambitious original Metal Gear remake. And just to make sure fans are aware, Hideo Kojima gave his blessing to the Blue Box team and is also offering some consultation and guidance as to, some of the decision making they would have to do. Because if you think about it, a Metal Gear remake would require some major changes, some major overhauls, and it would require enough that you would certainly want to have the original creator Kojima involved to some extent, guiding you and giving you some tips or just some pointers on what you should do and what you shouldn't do and how he would want it done, right? And then Blue Point can make that happen. Now, I know all of this may sound too good to be true, and I actually agree with that. I think pretty much everything I'm saying here sounds too good to be true, but kind of circling back around here to this Russian insider, I started to think to myself, what would cause someone to confuse Metal Gear Solid 6 with a Metal Gear remake? They're two very different things, right? And then it just kind of popped in my head, well, if you're talking about a remake of the original Metal Gear, that could technically be seen as both. So I don't know, guys. This is just a video I wanted to make because I started to think about this, and it's not necessarily something I'm anticipating at all. I do think that if Bluepoint Games is in fact remaking a Metal Gear title, I do think it will be Metal Gear Solid 1. But just imagining what a Metal Gear remake would look like for the PS5 with Kojima's blessing given to Bluepoint Games and, maybe even a little bit of his involvement, that would be insane. That would be some next level stuff. And, a lot of people say that they want to see Bluepoint Games do something original, or that they should have a shot to do something original. If you think about something like a Metal Gear remake, again, the amount of changes that would need to be made to even just make that a possibility, right? On the PS5, at that point, they're getting pretty close to making their own title. I think it's the perfect middle point between remaking a game and doing something on your own. So just something to think about. Again, I just wanted to take some time to make this video and talk once again about Metal Gear, because there's been all of these rumors. There's this whole abandoned app and them seemingly teasing a little bit of Metal Gear Solid, and we don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody or very few people know exactly what's going to happen, but I definitely wanted to take some time to share my thoughts on this because I think that this would be a crazy announcement. I think it would make a lot of sense, and I think it would be the perfect way to get a Metal Gear Solid 6 where Kojima's not directly writing it or directing it, but he is involved somehow, to where fans would be very excited about that. I could be wrong. Maybe there will still be fans who wouldn't be very excited about that and wouldn't actually want something like this to happen. But at this point, I want you to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know whether or not you would want to see an original 1987 MSX Metal Gear remake done by Bluepoint Games and what that would look like on the PS5. Let me know how you would feel about Kojima not directing it, but just being somewhat involved or giving his blessing to Bluepoint Games. I'll definitely be interested to see what you guys have to say. Make sure you leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.